First time since 2014, tomorrow we will see Jim Harbaugh grace an NFL sideline, and it's also the first time we get to see Joe Alt and Ladd McConkey in live action.
You are Locked On Chargers, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Chargers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, and welcome into the Locked On Chargers podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Wade, joined as always by my co-host, David Drogemeyer, and we've been covering the Chargers together now for 9 seasons, but this is our 7th year as the host of the Locked On Chargers podcast, bringing you your team every day. Thank you to the everydayers out there for making us your first listen, and to make sure that you never miss the show, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcast from. David, what do we got today?
Daniel, the Chargers play football tomorrow, baby. Thank you, God. I am so excited. I cannot wait. I am just super excited to see what this team is going to look like. So much new. So we're going to get into the players that we want to see on the offensive side, the players that we're looking forward to seeing on the defensive side, and we're going to take a look at some of those guys that are using this preseason to try to find a role, find a spot on this Chargers 53-man roster.
Yeah, and vets, undrafted free agents, rookies alike, all trying to make this team. But today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. David, we get to watch some football, and this is the most excited we will be about preseason football. It's been so long since we got to see the Chargers on a football field, and I'm so excited to see Jim Harbaugh in his first action since he was the 49ers coach in the NFL. But it starts with Joe Alt as far as the players that we're excited to watch, because this was the Chargers' 5th overall pick. Obviously, they had a ton of options at their disposal when they did it. They went with a statement pick, taking an offensive lineman, and an offensive lineman that was a left tackle in college that's now transitioning to be a right tackle. We've heard up and down things, but he was playing against Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack and Bud Dupree. Now, he won't be going up against those guys. He'll get to face off against somebody, a team where you're going to know if he gives up a sack or not. No whistles are getting blown, right? Somebody's getting tackled to the ground, and we get to see him in his first live action. I'm stoked to see it.
This is where you evaluate whether what you saw on tape in college is real and will translate. This is the beginning of that right now for Joe Alt. Obviously, making his debut on the right side at right tackle in the NFL for pretty much the first time in his life. So I'm going to be looking for several different things. I want to know how he handles the live bullets. I want to know how he's able to handle power. I want to know how he's able to handle speed. I want to see what the anchor is like, what his recovery ability is going to be like. I want to see what this run blocking is going to be like. I want to see what the mobility is like in space. And those are all some of the things I'm going to be looking for Joe Alt. Like, this is such an important pick. And, the Chargers made a statement with this new regime taking Joe Alt. This is the first opportunity to see if that statement is going to be received loud and clear.
And like the Chargers, the Seahawks have a new regime as well, right? No more Pete Carroll. Now it's Mike Macdonald, who was Jim Harbaugh's former defensive coordinator at Michigan, who he's going up against. And the good news is, I think that Mike Macdonald said that most of his defensive starters are going to be playing and some of the offensive starters. So this offensive side of the football should get a real look, right? Like, Joe Alt could get matched up with a new Uchenna Nwosu, and they don't have the rushers the Chargers do. No. But that's a great first step. That's a great test for him on the right side. And I hope he plays on the right side. Like, if Rashawn Slater plays or doesn't play in this game, which he shouldn't, are they going to put Joe Alt left tackle? Because I'd much rather see him at right tackle. I think that's better. You. Yeah, I think that's where he would be.
You have to put him on the right side. You have to.
And then there's Ladd McConkey, the 2nd-round pick, the guy the Chargers traded up for the 34th pick to get a wide receiver after skipping it in round 1, and someone that has made huge waves so far at training camp. Everyone I've talked to, hey, he looks different. He moves different. A ready-made skill set for the NFL. Has dealt with some bumps and bruises, but I'm really hoping we get to see him. He was at practice on Thursday, not a padded practice, but you'd think he gets 2 practices in before the Chargers square off against the Seahawks on Saturday. He's a rookie, even though he's a starter. I think he'll play if he's ready to go, and if he does, man, I'm super excited about it.
Man, I can't wait to see it. Like, a lot of Charger fans, me included, wanted to see them take a weapon with that first pick, that 5th overall pick. That did not happen. That had to wait until the early 2nd round where they traded up to get Ladd McConkey. And so there's a lot of expectations on Ladd McConkey, fair or not. Like it's just what it is. And so I want to see if that separation, if that quickness, if that route running savvy all translates to the NFL level, which I expect that it will, because I think that he's going to have a huge part in this Chargers offense. But this is the first opportunity to see what the skills look like. I'm really, really excited to see it.
And I think there's an argument to be made, hey, why are you playing Ladd McConkey? Especially dude who's dealt with some injuries, had injuries in college. But the thing is like, he's a rookie. He needs to get out there and get some snaps, and like he's going to get hit eventually. They can't wrap him up in bubble wrap. He's not a guy that's proven anything at this level yet. He should be out there if he can be. I don't need him taking returns, right? Leave him out of the return game, any unnecessary hits, things like that. But the good news is also, David, the Chargers do have a first-round pick at wide receiver on their roster, Quentin Johnston, who's another guy who I'm super excited to see because we get a chance to see, hey, you weren't able to really make waves in your first year. How much have you improved since then?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing is what's on the mind of everybody. How do the hands look, right? Is he going to be able to reel in all the passes? Is he creating separation? Is he running crisp routes, right? These are things that we are going to be looking forward to because these are all areas of opportunity for Quentin Johnston going into his second season. And also, like, I want to see him make plays. Like, I want to see him go out there and dominate a little bit, right? That's what you expect from a first-round pick. And I want to see all the work that he's put in, and I want to see it manifest itself in this first game. I expect him to play, and I want to see him be a step above. I want a step above, a level above the competition, because that's what he should be.
Yeah, and it's good news that we heard Thursday's practice. One of the first plays was a 40-yard bomb to Quentin Johnston. Obviously, that's moving in the right direction. And he should get a chance to go up against a couple really good corners in Tariq Woolen and Devon Witherspoon. Like, those are two, a first-round pick and a guy who probably should have been a first-round pick. That was like a 6th or 7th round pick in Tariq Woolen. But, yeah, I mean, he should have a good chance to go up against some NFL veterans, which is who he's going to face in the regular season. But if it's not those guys, if you're going up against backups, he should dominate. I have that in my notes too. Go out there and dominate because that's what you should be doing. The other big thing with him and why he makes this list is just how are they going to use him, right? We criticized the last regime a ton for how they used Quentin Johnston. We might not see all the wrinkles, right, in the preseason, probably pretty vanilla. At the same time, though, I want to see a different kind of usage. I want to see them get him the ball in space, get the ball in his hands, maybe sometimes
get him a running
start. Throwing to him, right? Or just give him a couple easy ones to warm up with and let him do what he does best, which is after the catch, which he did do well in year one. But another guy, David, that I can't wait to see is in the running back room, and it's Kamani Vidal, the 6th round pick who isn't in the trying to make the roster part of this. Maybe he could be, right, as a 6th round pick, but we're just that high on his game. And as a, running back, there's so many things that go into it to look for, and you're kind of relying on a lot of other people. At the same time, he's a dude who made a ton of plays in college and a guy that absolutely could be a standout player for the Chargers in the preseason.
Yeah, I think the only big question mark for Kamani Vidal was the level of competition that he was in. No fault of his own. That's just where he went to school and the conference that he was playing in, right? But I want to see if that skill set translates. He was a fantastic between the tackles runner, showed great vision, great strength. And was fantastic as a pass protector. Like, those are all things I'm going to be looking to see how that translates. Because if you're able to protect the quarterback, you're going to find yourself on the football field as a running back. It's very, very important. So I want to see if the speed, if he's able to rip off some runs. Like, I just want to see what he's capable of doing, because I do have high expectations for him because I think the skill set's real.
Yeah, and the pass pro is such an important part of it. He was so ready-made, even as a smaller guy. Just the want to is there, because at the end of the day, you have to be ready to go into the hole and meet a 240-pound linebacker running in at full speed, and that's just not something everyone wants to see. Not everyone wants that smoke. I also think he's, probably the most ready-made pass catcher out of the Chargers running back room as a whole. Definitely a lot of experience there in college. Also excited to see Jarrett Patterson, right? Because that's probably his biggest competition at that 3rd running back spot. And a lot of this is going to have to do with a guy we're all, interested in watching, and that's Easton Stick. And can he operate this offense at a high enough level to get all of these guys looks? And the good news is that Thursday's practice, really, since they signed Luis Perez, he actually had his best day of training camp on Thursday. So a little fire under him, right? That's what Jim Harbaugh very explicitly told us the signing was about. But I do want to get to the defensive side of things. And it's not a rookie I'm most looking forward to on the defensive side of things. It's Daiyan Henley with a chance to solidify his starting spot after kind of wrecking the preseason last year. I'm excited to see him again, and a couple more rookies like Justin Boygby and Tarheeb Still. So we're going to get into more guys that we can't wait to watch tomorrow when the Chargers face off against the Seahawks, and more on today's Locked On Chargers podcast. First, though, I need to tell you guys about eBay Motors because passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. So if you need anything to repair your car, or you just want something like a supercharger, you go to eBay Motors, because not only do they have those, they have roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for, and with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. David, we talked about the offensive side of things, and as always, there's going to be some guys. I mean, we're excited to watch everybody, right? There's going to be some guys that
definitely
don't make the list. But when I'm thinking about the defensive side of things, knowing who is going to play, right? I mean, we're not going to see Joey Bosa or Khalil Mack out there. We're probably not going to see Derwin James. I'd be shocked if we saw him, even Alohi Gilman. The corners, I'm more iffy about, right? Azant, Christian Fulton, I'm interested if we're going to see them out there. But when I'm starting the defense, the first guy I thought about was Daiyan Henley, right? Because I do think he is one of the guys that could kind of come out of nowhere with no real NFL production and be a really big impact player for this Chargers defense. Has a chance to be the best coverage linebacker that they've had in a very long time, at the very, very least.
Oh, yeah.
And this is his chance, David, for the first time after never really getting that chance as a rookie to go out there and show how much better he is and how ready he is for this starting role.
Absolutely. He's trying to secure that starting linebacker spot, right? He wants to be the guy that everybody trusts, that everybody believes in. And he's a super athlete. Like, this guy is freaky. He's super twitchy.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see that on full display. He has great speed, great sideline to sideline ability. When I watched him, he was able to shed blocks at a very high level, get around them, do whatever he had to do to get to the ball carrier. He was always around the football, and the coverage ability is real. Like, he can go out there and cover, tight ends, running backs, maybe some wide receivers. Like, I mean, honestly, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but Daiyan is a fantastic athlete to have in the middle of your defense. And I want to just see him fly around and make plays, man, because this is a guy that has the ability to stuff the stat sheet. No question about it.
Yeah, and he did it in college, right? Last 2 seasons, over 200 tackles, over 5 interceptions, over 5 sacks. Like, it's pretty crazy. But
yeah,
the other thing about him specifically is that he was a Tom Telesco special, right? A linebacker that used to play safety. And Jesse Minter talked about that, and he's basically said he's a 235-pound ball of muscle, but he's really fast, athletic. He has really good coverage sense from playing a skill position most of his life, which is helpful. Hey, man, I'm a former linebacker. I think that's a skill position, but it's neither here nor there.
You would.
But I liked it when he was talking about, this game coming up and everything. He's like, hey, I want to earn that spot. I want to win that trust. Nothing is official. I don't care what the unofficial depth chart says, and I think you have to love that hunger. But I'm also excited to see Justin Herbert, a guy that, maybe we haven't heard as much about during this preseason or during this training camp. And, many of the practices aren't padded. So that's really his only chance to truly shine. But especially in a defensive line group that's kind of in flux, really just doesn't have a lot of, for sure things in that room. Now you bring in a guy who I really liked his tape, a 4th round pick in Justin Herbert, who should have a very good chance to earn snaps early. And this is kind of for him, I think, his best showcase, because one of his biggest traits he brought to the table was his physicality, was the fact that he never went backwards in the run game and always was able to stand his ground and make plays. And I think that I'm really interested to see kind of how they line him up. I mean, in college, he was an edge rusher. He was on the inside. He kind of was all over the place. Same like Tuli Tuipulotu, right? He's on the edge. We expect Justin Boygby to be on the interior, so I'm excited to see how that looks.
Yeah, the defensive line room right now is an unknown commodity. You just don't know what that room is going to be able to produce for you. In college, Justin Boygby displayed excellent technique, like very, very good. He was just very technically sound. He was excellent against the run. And I think one of his biggest opportunities was adding to his pass rush repertoire. I think that's something that I'm going to be looking forward to watching this Saturday when he's able to square off against the Seahawks. I want to see how that's progressed. I want to see what he has added to his toolbox from that regard.
And that is the biggest thing. I mean, had 7.5 sacks last year, his best year. But it is a pass rush arsenal or repertoire, as David said, that could use some refining, could use some kind of, fine tuning, to say the least. And I think that we should see that. Also excited to see, Scott Matlock. Excited to see Tito Abonia. Obviously, the rookies is our first time.
Yep.
So those are two
Okoye.
guys. Yeah, CJ Okoye, Gerard Clark. I know a lot of people, the Gerard Clark hype is out there as well.
The big boy.
Yeah, if that's kind of what they're looking for. And he's made a couple plays at training camp so far. But I'm also excited to see Tarheeb Still. And this one, I guess, is a little lower on the list because it does seem like Jasir Taylor is running away with that third cornerback position, that slot corner starting position right now. But things change quickly, man. And Tarheeb Still is a guy, first of all, that has multiple interceptions, maybe even multiple pick sixes already this training camp. I don't know if both of them went back to the house, but he's a guy that's made some plays early on, a very physical player. I can't wait to see the physicality from him. And this is the other thing, David. Like, there's a chance that Jasir Taylor gets to the regular season and he's not going against Chargers wide receivers and he doesn't look as great as we're seeing him look right now. I don't wish that upon him, right? But it's great to have options. So, like, if both these guys are pushing each other and Jasir Taylor still starts, I have no problem with that. That's good for this team.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't work out, if Tarheeb Still can go on here in the preseason and earn some of the trust of this coaching staff and maybe open some eyes a little bit, hey, there's a way they try to get him on the field, right? Or he's that next man up. And if he's playing well as your next man up, now you're building the depth that you've wanted for a long time.
I mean, it may be a little bit lower on the totem pole for you, but it is definitely not for me. I am pumped to watch Tarheeb Still. Like, when I watched his tape after the Chargers drafted him, I was quickly enamored with what he was capable of doing on the football field, namely because he's an excellent tackler, Daniel. Like, this is a guy that welcomes it, shows great technique, has good stopping power, and also you can couple that with the ability to take the football away. Like, he has that rare skill set that I think every team would covet from the cornerback position. I want to see what that looks like against the Seahawks. I want to see if what we've been hearing about in training camp translates to the field against another opponent.
Yeah, and Cam Hart would be on here too, right? If he was able, he just wasn't practicing on Thursday, working off to the side, so I'm not going to assume he's going to play on this one. Very excited to see what Cam Hart can do. Tarheeb Still just should have been mentioned earlier. Obviously, I'm still very, very excited to see him. Jasir Taylor too, I'm excited to see.
Of course.
But I think an underrated one, David, that I'm really looking forward to is Tuli Tuipulotu, right? He's not going to get every snap once the regular season starts, but after putting together the rookie campaign that he did, already becoming one of the best in the NFL at stopping the run at his position from the get-go, he had the physicality that's ready to go. I think, to me, what I'm looking for Tuli here, the advancement of the pass rush repertoire, right?
Yeah.
But also, can he clean up some of those near misses, right? Like, I think he did a better job last year than he did in college. His college tape was littered with plays that should have been made in the backfield.
Sacks.
But he plays with his hair on fire. He's a Tasmanian devil. It's part of his game. But that's one thing I'm kind of wondering, hey, can he refine that a little bit? Can he make the plays that he needs to make? When he gets to the backfield, can he make it count?
There are guys on this team that I expect to help the vision of the physicality translate to the football field, and I see that as Tuli Tuipulotu being one of those guys. He's a guy that I think has the ability to bring the violence. That's what I want to see. He wrecks guys on the edge, which is crazy because he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he has great effort. He plays with a fantastic energy and just a great technically sound football player out there. So I want to see him go wreck the game like he's capable of doing. That's what I want to see from Mr. Tuli. I want him to see him dominate.
Yeah, I don't even want to see him out there very long, to be
Not
honest.
long.
I mean, I mean, just I want to see him get out there. I want to see him, cause some havoc, create some chaos.
Yeah.
Maybe get a couple of rush throws, maybe get a couple of, the defense out the field a couple of times. Get him out of there. But I can't wait to see what he's able to do in year 2 because he was just so damn impressive in year 1 and all rookie season for him. But we do have one more segment to get into, and it's the guys that are fighting for a roster spot. The guys really with the most to prove during this game. And it starts with Brenden Rice. And now all of a sudden, Luis Perez, because Jim Harbaugh straight up called out Max Duggan, also called out Casey Bauman, and he's there to push Easton Stick and to maybe take one of those guys' jobs. So we're getting into that and much more on today's Locked On Chargers podcast. First, though, I do need to tell you guys about LinkedIn Jobs, because LinkedIn Jobs, when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. And that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs, because LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. And the important thing about LinkedIn is It's not just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, and even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not using LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place, because those people are not going to know that you exist or that you need someone to fill that role. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. LinkedIn knows what small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or the resources to hire. They make everything so simple for you, and they make sure that you can find the best candidate, a quality candidate, so you're not looking to fill that position only a couple months later. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. I also need to tell you guys that this episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. What are your self-care non-negotiables? Maybe you never skip leg day or therapy day. When your schedule is packed with kids' activities, big work projects, and more, it's easy to let your priorities slip, even when we know what makes us happy. It's hard to make time for it. And that's one of the things I'm really having a hard time juggling right now is, hey, there is no me time right now because I have a baby. I'm watching the baby all day for the most part on paternity leave and all that. And that's one thing, talking to my therapist and going through therapy helps you realize is, hey, you can't take care of your family and your people unless you're taking care of yourself first. So make therapy a non-negotiable. And with BetterHelp, it's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. So never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOn today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOn. David, let's get into some guys that maybe not enough people are talking about, right? It's not the big names. It's not the highly drafted rookies. It's the guys who are fighting for a roster spot, because at the end of the day, that's what the preseason is about. It's about finding your key reserves and guys who are going to potentially step up into roles and deciding training camp battles. And as Jesse Minter said, hey, once it's live bullets, those things kind of take care of themselves. And I agree with him. But it's about the underdog stories. It's about the guys trying to make the roster. It's about late draft picks finding a way to make the team, which is why we'll start with Brenden Rice, who's not a lock to make this team right now. But I first want to tell everyone to make sure you're checking out the Locked On Fantasy Football Show, wherever you get your podcasts, and also on YouTube, because it's time to take over your league and get all of the information to make it happen. I know I'm in a work league with my friends, and it's non-negotiable. I cannot go to work and have to deal with them trash talking me. I always have to have one of the best teams. So make sure you guys check out Locked On Fantasy Football and make them your second listen, because we appreciate you making us your first listen to the everydayers out there. Brenden Rice, David, a guy that's made some splash plays, a 7th round pick, not a lock to make this roster. We think everyone through Darius Davis is safe. And after that, it's kind of a free-for-all between him, Cornelius Johnson, Simi Fehoko. I think it's kind of a 3-way battle right now. Unless the Chargers keep 2 wide receivers, then it's a 3-way battle for 2 spots. But this is Brenden Rice's chance to shine. He said it himself. If I don't make this team, it's on me. Now he gets a chance to prove it.
First chance on the big stage for Brenden Rice to carry on that lineage, that legendary lineage of his name. Obviously, his father being one of the greatest of all time. I love the physicality that Brenden Rice brings to the table from the wide receiver position. I like how he runs his routes. I like how he's able to compete in the contested catch situations. And, I want to see him go out there and make plays. Like he's going to have to stand out. Like you said, his roster spot is far from secured at this point in time. So he needs to continue the plays that he's been making in camp and do it against a live opponent across from him.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not a given, right? Like just today, we saw that Simi Fehoko had 2 touchdowns at today's practice on Thursday as we're recording this. That makes it 4 touchdowns for Simi the last 2 days. So, this is very much up in there. I know we've seen some splash plays from Brenden Rice, and I hope the quarterbacks give him a chance to make some plays, right? Hey, 3rd and long, give him a chance to go up and get it. Give him a chance to go do what he's good at, right? Know your personnel a little bit.
Yeah.
I also want to talk about Luis Perez, who might not even made this list, and we weren't even sure how much he was going to play until this quote came from Jim Harbaugh, where he's asked why they signed Luis Perez, and he said, I thought Easton really wasn't having any competition, enough competition where he was at. The only way to make somebody better is to get competition in there. Message to Max and Casey. These are his words. You got to step up the games. That's Max Duggan and Casey Bauman, the 2 other, quarterbacks 3 and 4 on this team right now. And I love that he said it, right? And he said that it's already made Easton stick better. And I think he's had his best 2 practices on Wednesday and Thursday, the 2 days since they signed him. But Luis Perez, David, there's no handouts. Max Duggan isn't guaranteed a roster spot. Casey Bauman always was a long shot to make this team.
Camp
but this dude's who?
Casey Bauman.
Casey Bauman, was never going to have, he was always going to be a long shot.
Yeah.
But with Luis Perez, it's like he has a real chance, and they're going to give him snaps even on Saturday. They said, hey, we might have to boil it down to, 6 to 10 plays, but he's going to be out there.
Well, clearly, Jim Harbaugh is not afraid to speak his mind, which is very, very new for us. Like, we're not used to him calling out players like that. But, I mean, obviously the level of competition, which is something that he has said ad nauseum that he wants, that he craves the competition, and he expects to have high-level competition, and he didn't receive or see the level of competition on the field that he felt was required to really push Easton Stick, which is important because
and that's the truth.
Easton Stick could be your quarterback out there, right?
It's been bad.
Obviously, we hope it's Justin Herbert, but, you don't know. So Luis Perez stepping in, stepping up, making plays right away, like he's got an opportunity here. Like, obviously the Chargers did not like what they had in the building, so they had to outsource. So you have to look at this and say Luis Perez has a real chance to either make this team or make the practice squad. We'll see.
And even potentially supplant, Easton Stick at some point if he plays long enough. I think it's a long shot with how late he came in, but I like the fact that they're truly turning over no stone. And they said what we're seeing isn't good enough. And I'm just going to tell you guys that wasn't good enough. And so they can know as well. Real quick, I know you want to talk about Isaiah Spiller, one of your guys that, was maybe a long shot to make this team at some point, but I know you're excited to see what he can do and if he can make a statement to, maybe etch his name onto this roster.
Isaiah Spiller has been active for 16 games across 2 seasons. He's got over 10 carries one time. He just hasn't had an opportunity to really go out there and show what he's capable of doing. So I want to see him with a new regime, get a fresh start, and be able to go out there, and he's going to have to impress because who knows if the Chargers are going to keep 4 running backs, and also who knows how many touches that you're going to get as a 4th running back. We know that Isaiah is very, very young, but he has the ability to run in between the tackles. He has made some plays in the past in the preseason. This is a new opportunity, but he's going to have to play like his job depends on it because it does.
It does, and it does feel like there's a 4th running back spot that's up for grabs, assuming Kamani Vidal gets it. And there's guys like Jarrett Patterson who we've heard a lot about. We'll see what he's able to do. Maybe Spiller's a better fit in the Greg Roman offense. Definitely feels like he is. But these are the 3 most important games of Isaiah Spiller's career.
Oh yeah.
Hands down, because he's not a lock to make this roster at all. I want to talk about a defensive guy here real quick, Tremont Morris-Brash, who is probably one of those guys that kind of like the undrafted free agent wide receivers we didn't pay as much attention to, especially after Bud Dupree, because they're just like, how does an undrafted edge make this roster? But when Jesse Minter was asked about one guy who he was excited to watch, it was Tremont Morris-Brash, and he said he's rushed really well in practice. He plays with a ton of energy, so he's a guy I'm really excited to see if that translates. And a guy that put up ridiculous stats. I heard Jesse Minter talking about the production he had in college. In 2023, he had 8.5 sacks, which is very good, right? Playing in the Big 12, very, very good. You know how many tackles for loss this dude had? 20.5 tackles for loss in a single season.
Joke.
His last 2 years, he had 14.5 sacks and 33.5 tackles for loss in 27 games. This dude is a playmaker, and it's translated on both sides as far as pass rushing and stopping the run. You got shout-outs for Jesse Minter on his ability to do both. And now all of a sudden, I'm excited to watch Tremont Morris-Brash.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for Tremont Morris-Brash, this is probably the most difficult edge room in the NFL to make. And
you're not lying.
He's literally going to have to go steal somebody's job on this roster.
And it's probably Chris Rumph, right?
Yeah,
so it's like, you're not trying to take Bud Dupree's spot.
Nah.
Can you take Chris Rumph's spot?
Yeah.
Is really what it comes down to.
I mean, you're gonna have to go out there and steal a grown man's job, right? I mean, that's just what it has to boil down to. So,
right.
I mean, we'll see what he's capable of doing. I think honestly, he's really auditioning more for a practice squad spot. If I want to be truly honest,
yeah.
But we'll see what he's capable of doing, and we know practice squad's still important. There's guys that go up and down from their practice squad all season long. They are very much a part of the football team.
And hopefully they're able to, right? If he falls out, it might not be an option for them. And that's the thing is like the edge room is loaded. The other part of it is there's a great chance that Chris Rumph, Khalil Mack, and Joey Bosa are not in that room in 2025.
That's
which
true.
leaves you a Tua Tuipulotu and Bud Dupree on the last year of his 2-year deal. So there is room for that in the future. And if you can have a guy that can turn in from an undrafted free agent to even a rotational edge rusher to spell some of your top guys, that's a huge win. Right. Lastly, let's touch on Zach Hines. He's our guy, undrafted free agent. And this is his real chance right here. A chance to show some grown man strength. He's a tight end whose focus is blocking, but has a little bit of receiving chops, even as a lesser athletic guy. I'm excited to watch Zach Hines in his first preseason game try to make a statement for this team.
Real size, 6'6", 260. I mean, not the best athlete in the world, but he brings his lunch pail to work. He's a fantastic blocker. He's not the most, like I said, he doesn't have the most speed, but he has very good
ran
hands.
a 5 flat 40, right?
Yeah.
He was not sub 5 in the 40, which was
not
part
very,
of the reason
not
he's
very
undrafted.
fast, but I want to be looking forward to watching him as a run blocker because I think that is his best path to making this team.
And you know he can do it. The dude has truly grown man strength, and even in practice, this is not like a practice setting is not a setting where Zach Hines can truly shine, even though he's been a pretty consistent receiver, you know, at practice. Even Chris Brim said he was a guy, an undrafted free agent, that was really standing out to him. Also, stone smart all of a sudden, because every day I read these practice reports, and every day it feels like Stone Smart somewhere making a play. And he went from a guy that had no chance to make this roster, where it's like it seems like he's doing absolutely everything in his power to do it. But as far as Zach Hines goes, I do think, you know, is a legitimate run blocker and has the chops to do that at the NFL level. Another part of it is I think he has a chance to be a legitimate red zone threat. He's not a guy who's super athletic, but he's a dude who can box out and a dude who has really underrated hands. And I didn't see any drops from him when I was watching his tape. So excited to see him as an undrafted free agent. Other guys too, like JT Woods, it's always going to be, hey,
show me you can tackle,
this guy
JT,
tackle,
please.
right? I'm asking you once again to show me that JT Woods can tackle. Can he stave off a Tony Jefferson, right? Excited to see Tony Jefferson out there trying to make his stance and make his comeback. So I'm excited to see, and you guys know it's your team every day. So make sure you guys are back here with us to talk about this show, at least at the very latest on Monday when we're breaking it all down after we see the Chargers in live action, and we couldn't be more excited about it. So to make sure you don't miss it, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcast from. And you can also make sure you're following us during the game because we will be live tweeting about it. You can find me at Dan Talk Sports. I should be able to say my own Twitter handle on Twitter. And you can also find David at Dro Talk SD. We'll both be tweeting throughout the game as well and giving live updates on it. And you can also find the show's page at Locked On LAC on Instagram, at Locked On Chargers, and our Locked On Chargers Facebook page. So make sure you guys are back because it's going to be a super fun show, getting to talk about actual football happening, enough to make my brain explode. But make sure you're here. Thank you guys, as always, to the everydayers out there because it is your team every day. And thank you for making us your first listen. But we'll be back with you guys to talk about the first preseason game of the year against the Seahawks. But until then, take it easy and go Bolts.